Perfect. And then you can go ahead and start again because we pressed record.
Again, Christy Rinaldi, State of Illinois Central Management Services. I'm the agency purchasing officer. I work in the Bureau of Strategic Sourcing. We are the sourcing agency for the State of Illinois master contracts. Master contracts are utilized by state agencies as well as local municipalities. So we run the gamut of goods and services that we procure. They have three portfolios. Our portfolios are the facilities portfolios that help to manage all of the state facilities statewide. We also have the general services portfolio, which is our service-based portfolio, whether it be temporary staffing services or court reporting services. Anything that is utilized or needed on a statewide level is procured service-based through general services. And then we have the equipment and commodities portfolio, which is exactly what it sounds like. We purchase equipment and commodities on behalf of the entire state, whether it be food, snowplow repairs, rock salt. We again run the gamut of anything that is needed on a statewide and municipal level. So I'm here today to discuss with you guys doing business with the state and how to do so. I'm going to give some pointers as to things that are going to make it easier for you as a vendor community to be able to do business with the state of Illinois. We all know that there are a lot of requirements in the Illinois Procurement Code. I'm going to run through some of them with you and hopefully give you a little bit of insight as to how to make your lives a little bit easier when wanting to do business with the state of Illinois. You can see my slide is pretty short, sweet, and to the point. I wanted to give you guys more information and less content. I just wanted you to be able to have a condensed version of what I'm going to talk about. These are the main points of certification or registration requirements that you're going to have in order to successfully compete for business with the state of Illinois. I'm speaking specifically to doing business with Central Management Services and the Bureau of Strategic Sourcing, but many of these things run across state agencies. So if you want to do business with Department of Corrections or Human Services or ISP, I mean, whatever you're going to do, most of these things are going to apply across the board. And I'm sure Tollway will elaborate on what is required for them when they are looking for responsive and responsible vendors. So the first three points on my slide are the Illinois Secretary of State, the Illinois Board of Elections, and the Illinois Department of Human Rights. Now, these are all registrations that you need to complete. Doing business with the Secretary of State is basically a requirement that says that you are legally allowed to operate your business in the state of Illinois. The website below, cyberdriveillinois.com, it's pretty self-explanatory. I do know that because of everything going on right now, the pandemic and the new restrictions that are going back into place because of the uptick, Secretary of State buildings are not all working at the same capacity. So if you do have a question about how long it's taking, please reach out to me one-on-one, and I'm more than happy to help you and at least try and point you in the right direction or give you a little bit more information as to how long this is going to take. The counterpart at Secretary of State is good to work with, and she should be able to help in that respect. So utilizing the CyberDrive Illinois website is where you're going to start to get your Secretary of State registration. Your Illinois Board of Elections registration is a registration that asks for the primary people within your organization that play key functions. It does ask to make sure we know who are the main players in your company, who are the decision makers, and then that correlates to campaign contributions for elections statewide. So again, it's something that is required to be completed in order to be considered responsive, as is the Department of Human Rights certification, and that is basically they're asking how many employees you have and are you following the correct standards for the Human Rights Organization. That one's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty simple for you to fill out, go on, and you get an IDHR number that you utilize when responding to solicitations. So let's go into the bottom two. The bottom two are probably your most important and probably the most time consuming and ask for the most information as far as getting registered. But again, they are the most important. They do provide you access to everything you're going to need to do business with the state. So your first one, the Illinois Procurement Gateway. The Gateway, you have two types of registrations within the Gateway. As any vendor wanting to do business with the state of Illinois, I strongly suggest that you go to the Gateway and start your financial disclosures and certification process. Every single time a solicitation is put on the street, the agency requesting has a certain number of documents and financial disclosures and certification that we are required to ask of the responding vendors. It can be cumbersome, and it is a lot of information to fill out every single time you want to bid or supply a proposal to the state. Getting registered in the Gateway will alleviate your need to fill out those documents over and over and over again every time you want to submit. It is basically a warehouse that will allow you to submit all of your financial disclosures and certifications information in one place. They will certify it. The Procurement Gateway Help Desk will certify it. They may ask for additional information. They may need to ask for additional documents. But once you are certified in there, you will get a registration number that is unique to the state of Illinois, unique to the Illinois Procurement Gateway. And that will allow you to provide that number when you are responding to solicitations instead of having to respond with all of the documentation every single time. So it can be a little bit of work on the front end to get certified, but it will save you time. I can't even count. I can't even tell you how much time it's going to save you in the long run if you are considering doing business with the state on a regular basis. It's something that has been in place now for, I want to say, probably 5 or 6 years. It may be a little bit longer than that. I have been with the state in procurement for 10 years, and I can tell you, working with the vendor community, I've got nothing but positive feedback on how much time it saves once you get registered and you have a certification number. Second to that, all small businesses that want to become certified small businesses with the state of Illinois must register in the IPG. That is the only way you get your certified small business status. So if you are a small business, please go to the Gateway. You are going to work through the small business set aside certification as well as your financial disclosures and certifications. Again, in order to be certified, it is a requirement that you work through the IPG. So that is something that I make sure everybody knows. Doing business with the state in a small business capacity, there are roughly 675 set-aside categories that are reserved for small businesses within the state of Illinois. So regardless of the dollar amount of the solicitation, if it is one of those NIGP codes that is set aside for small businesses, that can only be solicited towards small businesses for award. And that's giving the opportunity to small businesses in order to make sure that we have, we are working towards supplying contracts with the small business community within the state. So again, that registration in the IPG is imperative if you are a small business and you want to get registered to do business with the state. The last one that I have is BidBuy. BidBuy is the state's e-procurement system. We have gone away from the Illinois Procurement Bulletin, which is what we used to use. BidBuy is a wholly electronic procurement system. So you supply your responses electronically. We review them electronically. Getting registered in BidBuy is the way that you as the vendor community are going to be noticed of solicitations. Getting registered in BidBuy, you are going to go in, you're going to create your vendor profile, and then you are going to select the NIGP codes that correlate to your business, whatever that is. And there might be multiple. Don't just go and try and select one, because you could have multiple NIGP codes that are going to be relevant to your business. What I will tell you is we work on the 5-digit NIGP code system, and there is a generic code at the top of every category, which is, I'm just going to pull out a number, 95300. Please don't register under just the 00. You're not going to get the benefit of everything below it. So you need to look at those individual 5-digit codes, 95336. And look at all of those codes under the 00 and register for those individually. That's going to give you the best opportunity to make sure that you are appropriately noticed of solicitations that fall within those NIGP codes. Again, for the state of Illinois, agencies under the governor's office and under the CPOs, for general services, this is the mechanism that we utilize. BidBuy is the posting and website that is utilized. This is where you're going to find every single solicitation that falls within those categories. Again, it's imperative to make sure that you're registered with BidBuy. I know last week there was a conversation, or one of the WebEx virtual conferences was about making sure you're registered if you are a BEP vendor. That is an additional one. I didn't cover that here because it was covered in last week's. If you are a BEP vendor, minority, female, or disabled owned, please make sure you go to the CMS Diversity Compliance website and walk yourself through getting registered if you fit that criteria. Again, if you have questions on that, they have a help desk in and of itself. It's on the website and they will be able to help you. So getting registered and making sure that you have all of the appropriate documents, certifications, and registrations is going to make your life easier in the vendor community. We at the state, we do ask for a lot of documentation. We do ask for a lot of business specific information that we want to know about your business. We want to make sure that we understand who you are as a business, and we want to make sure that you are capable of responding and supplying whatever the need is if you are awarded a contract. So that is why this information is imperative. That's why we ask for it. I know sometimes it can seem overwhelming, but there is a reason behind everything that we ask for. Again, I cannot talk enough about the gateway. If getting registered in that gateway, getting your number in the gateway is going to alleviate a lot of that need for paper every single time that you are wanting to do business with the state. That's kind of the quick overview of what I would want to discuss. I don't know if we want to move on to the next, move on to Terry, or if you want to ask questions.
I'm going to move on to Terry.
Perfect.
The questions will be at the very end. Thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome.
I think we're actually going to go in a different order.
No problem, Terry. This is your show at this point, so you put it in whatever order you want.
Thank you very much. I think Lorena has the slides queued up. You can surrender control to Lorena at this point.
Okay.
There we go.
Great. So I'll actually kick off the presentation for the Illinois Tollway. My name is Jen Soldat, and I am a Senior Procurement Training Specialist for the Illinois Tollway's Goods and Services Department. We are going to have various representatives from the Tollway to discuss doing business with the Tollway, but do a brief overview of what the Tollway is. So the Tollway is part of a dynamic transportation network. We connect to regional transit networks and supports 3 international airports. And we're also part of one of the nation's largest interstate systems with 5 roadways, 294 miles of system across 12 counties, and we serve over 1.6 million vehicles a day. So now we're going to get into and specifically goods and services side of procurement over at the tollway. I will be repeating some things that Christy had already said, so I won't go into too much detail. But the Goods and Services Department at the Illinois Tollway does have 350 plus contracts valued at over $1.1 billion. We procure goods and services per the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, which is also known as JCAR, and various examples of goods are commodities such as rock salt, roadway materials, vehicles, office and software licenses. And then we also have services, which include procurements for temporary staffing services, consulting services, and repair services. And how do we procure these goods and services? Well, we have a number of different procurement approaches, and I've gone ahead and listed some of the 4 most ones towards the bottom, which you'll probably already be familiar with if you've started looking into doing business. We have invitations for bid, requests for proposals, and small purchases. So Christy had already touched upon the Small Business Set-Aside Program. So just to reiterate really quickly, there are more than 600 product and service categories that must be solicited to small businesses at any dollar value. I believe we're at around 673 or 675. But also all procurements less than the current small purchase threshold, which is $104,100, must be solicited to registered small businesses. So what is a small business? They have to be independently owned, operated, headquartered in Illinois, and we've listed some of the thresholds down below that your company has to meet in order to be considered a small business. All the small businesses are registered in the database on the Illinois Procurement Gateway, as was mentioned previously. And it's important to do your registration annually and submit your company's annual report. As Christy mentioned previously, we are using the state of Illinois' e-procurement system, which is bid by. We are required to use this for all procurements, and vendors can go and see any procurement opportunity listed for not only the tollway, but all agencies working under the state of Illinois' Chief Procurement Officer of Services. So as mentioned, we do want to go and encourage vendors to go and register. You can go directly to the Illinois Tollway, or I'm sorry, the BidBuy's website and go ahead and register there. But you can view opportunities without being registered, and you would just go to the open bids link to see that. And just again, to reiterate, it's really important that you select most accurate NIGP codes for proper solicitation notification, just so that you cast the widest net as possible to get the most notifications possible for the items that your company does provide. It's also a really good idea to maintain your information and register more than one individual with your company. That way, if due to company turnover or someone's on vacation, you'll make sure to get those notifications. And then I'll go over really quick again, the Illinois Procurement Gateway, also known as the IPG. As mentioned, this is a centralized repository for all those important forms that vendors are required to return with any formal submittal, so an IFB or an RFP. Those include the financial disclosures and conflicts of interest form and the standard certification forms. So it's a really good idea to register in the gateway because it does minimize the risk. It does minimize the risk of any errors that vendors could make during the submittal process. A lot of administrative errors are made if you have to fill out the same paperwork over and over again. So this minimizes that risk, and it creates an company record that may be updated at any time. It's important to know, though, that if a vendor does Forms B along with their IFB or RFP response, that they do have to have a current registration in the gateway at that time, not a pending one, not one that's under review, but it must be current and approved. And really quick too, the IPG does interface over to BidBuy. So if a company is registered in the Illinois Procurement Gateway, there is a nightly interface that interfaces back to BidBuy that registers that vendor. Vendors can also make sure to contact the Illinois Tollways website. They can go to the Doing Business section at the Illinois Tollways website at illinoistollway.com. There you can find frequently asked questions, our current goods and services solicitations, and our goods and services buying plan, which is a snapshot of our RFPs and I have estimated coming up a year in the future, 4 quarters in the future. And then lastly, I just wanted to talk about some common mistakes that vendors make and how you can avoid them. So vendors should really ensure to solicitation documents in detail and utilize the vendor checklist documents available. Currently, the tollway is only accepting bids and proposals to be submitted electronically due to the pandemic. So vendors should include the signed offer as well as any other required forms, such as those Forms A, Forms B, and if the solicitation includes a BEP or veteran goal, those BEP, veteran, U plans, and letters of intent. If a vendor is BEP and veteran certified, they can ensure to maintain that registration and certify on an annual basis. Another important point is to provide detailed RFP responses, and remember to submit offers and bids on time or early. We cannot accept bids or proposals after the due date. And lastly, remember that opportunities are price competitive. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Brenda Shagoya with our Contract Services Department.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Shagoya, and I'm the Deputy Chief of Procurement over the Contract Services team. Currently, the Contract Services has 300 plus open contracts, the value over 5.1 billion. Contract Services plays a key role in coordination with the engineering department, state agencies, contractors, and consultants in performing various administrative and procurement functions from advertisement through award. Contract Services is also responsible for the Illinois Tollways document management operations prior to issuance a notice to proceed on the contracts. This includes all document control related to construction contracts and professional services contracts. The Tollway has a huge capital program, and since the Move Illinois program began in 2012, the Tollway advertised approximately 29 professional services bulletins. Each of those bulletins lists between 1 and 34 specific contract items for businesses to pursue. These items range in scope and size, and it just depends on the needs of the tollway. Some may appeal to both small and large firms. At this time, due to COVID-19, all bid openings and pre-bid meetings are being conducted via WebEx. Next slide, please. The bid letting schedule. This bid letting schedule obtains a list of all tollway construction IFBs above the small purchase threshold. It provides you with the type of work, which either this project may be a landscaping, reconstruction, mainline rehabilitation. It also provides you a description of the project. This, wherever the work is going to be performed, is it going to be 95th Street to the Tollway Plaza? Is this going to be an advanced IT project? It provides you with an advertisement date, bid opening date, award date, contract completion date, project number, and it also provides you with an estimate range of costs for each specific project. I will highly encourage you to visit the Illinois Toll website to download the bid letting schedule. Note that this is updated on a weekly basis, and to be more specific, is done every Friday. Next slide. Now we have a list of the non-curable items. This list is very important because if you do not provide your disclosures, it is not included with your submission, for Forms A and Forms B, the DBE 2026, BOSB 2026, bid bond for construction only, the blank pay items, and the small business set aside. Now, if we have a project that we're advertising and it's requiring for your company to be a small business set aside certified company, and you're not certified at the time of submission, your response will be deemed non-responsive. You also have to be IDOT or CBD pre-qualified. And late submittals, those items are non-curable. One of the items that is not listed also is part of this, and it should be included, is the EO 1256. Now, one of the things that I highly recommend is for you to read the solicitation from beginning to end. Every solicitation delineates every requirement for this specific project. Now we're going to turn it over to Mayulu.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda. Good afternoon, everyone. This is May. I'm the Senior Procurement Training Specialist from Tollway Procurement Department with Contract Services team. Besides construction contract services also administrate and process professional services contracts. Professional services contracts include contract with firms providing specialized expertise in various professional fields related to construction and transportation, such as design engineering and construction management. These contracts do not include any actual physical installations. Professional services contracts are procured via a two-step process dictated by the Qualifications-Based Selection Act, which is required by the state law Illinois Public Act 87-673. It is based on qualifications, skills, and expertise as opposed to a low bid. The selection process at the tollway is similar to other state agencies such as IDOT, and consultants must be pre-qualified. There is a comprehensive process for selecting professional engineering services firms. To manage these efforts and provide a fair assessment, we break up the review process to involve staff from various departments. The selection of professional consultants by the tollway is based on very specific criteria as noted in the item advertisement. Recognizing these items when submitting your statement of interest can help your firm succeed and stand out. You might want to pay attention to the following items. The first one is demonstrated ability of personnel. Past experience, records, and performance data. References, workload, and ability to meet time constraints. Also, you might want to pay attention to the geotax services information. Next slide, please. The tollway uses a web-based project management database called eBuilder to collect proposals. The required documents for proposal are including but not limited to statement of interest, firm's commitment and signature form, Exhibit A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, DBE and VOSB letter of intent, financial disclosure forms and Illinois Tollway standard business terms and conditions, SOI team data. To avoid a disqualification of your proposal, you might want to pay attention to the following items. The first one is financial disclosures. All bids and offers from responsive bidders, offers, vendors, or contractors with an annual value of more than $50,000 and all submissions to a vendor portal shall be accompanied by disclosure of the financial interest of the bidder, offer, potential contractor, or contractor, and each subcontractor to be used. The next item is SOI, which is a statement of interest. The SOI is the required item for a proposal, and it contains critical information for evaluation. While it is not the only criteria, it is very important to the tollway. So as for the Exhibit G, the next one you want to pay attention is the late submittal. Don't ever miss the deadline. There is absolutely nothing that can be done if you miss the deadline for any reason, from internet connection issues, computer failures, power outage, or what have you. For additional information regarding the latest and future professional services bulletin, you can find the information on the Illinois Tollway website under the Doing Business section. Next, I'll pass the information to Grace. She will cover the information of tollway procurement contract compliance.
Good afternoon. My name is Graciela Perez. I'm the DBE manager with the contract compliance team for the Illinois Tollway. Contract compliance. The Illinois Tollway contract compliance team in the Department of Procurement is responsible for monitoring all compliance requirements applicable to the following programs. DBE, which is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, BEP, Business Enterprise Program, BBE, Veteran Business Enterprise, EEO, Equal Employment Opportunity Program, and the State of Illinois Prevailing Wage requirements. In order to qualify to be a DBE company, the contractors and or subcontractor must possess a current certification with the following agencies: a current DBE certification with the Illinois UCP, which can be from IDAT, CTA, METRA, PACE, or the City of Chicago, a MBE or WBE certification with either or the City of Chicago and or Cook County, a SBA 8A certification with the Small Business Administration Agency. For the Business Enterprise Program and the Veteran Business Enterprise, the contractor or subcontractor must be certified with the State of Illinois Department of Central Management Services. Next slide, please. The contract compliance functions pre-award. The diversity goals are set by the contract compliance team. Depending on the contract type, the goals are set. For example, for any goods and services contracts, BEP and BOSB goals are set. For professional services, DBE and BOSB goals are set. For construction contracts, in addition to the DBE and the BOSB, the EEO requirements are set for those contracts as well. We also attend to pre-bid meetings, pre-award meeting, and pre-construction meetings. On those meetings, one of the team members of the contract compliance team attends and provides detailed information regarding the systems that we utilize, the requirements, and the expectations during the duration of the contract. We also participate on the responsiveness check, utilization plan review, and the evaluations, scorings, and rankings for PSB and RFPs. Next slide. As I mentioned on the previous slide, we do review on utilization plans. For construction contracts, we review the Form 2026, which is the utilization plan. This form must be submitted at time of bid. If the form is missing, the solicitation can be deemed non-responsive. This form needs to be completed and signed by the prime contractor. We also review the 2025 forms And this form is signed by both the prime contractor and the subcontractor. This is the letter of intent for any subcontractor, suppliers, or consultants that are going to participate on the contract. It is really important that the information on the 2026 form and the 2025 forms match. And we require 2026 forms and 2025 for both DBE and BOSB participation. Along with the 2026 and 2025, a current certification letter must be attached. It is important to mention that companies must be current on their certification at time of bid. If applicable, Form 2023 should be filled out, and this is the good faith efforts documentation. For professional services, as May was mentioning, there is the Exhibit F and Exhibit G that are required on the submittals. The Exhibit F is the letter of intent and the BOSB utilization plan, and Exhibit G is the history on tollway contracts. Next slide. After the contract is executed, compliance monitors the contract during the duration of the whole contract. And in order to do that, we utilize systems to help us monitor the contracts. For example, B2G Now. B2G Now is a cloud-based software system that allows for real-time data collection, tracking, and analyzing of compliance data. The system is accessible from any computer or operating system and may be used anywhere there is an internet connection. The tollway contract compliance team utilizes B2G Now to monitor the diversity participation for all contracts, which are construction, professional services, and goods and services. In B2G Now, we monitor DBE, EEP, and BOSB participation. And we also monitor for construction contracts, the Prevailing Wage Act, and the EEO participation. At the moment, we are utilizing LCP Tracker for submittals of weekly certified payroll. And we also utilize an internal system, Catapult, which transfers payment information from B2G Now, from Catapult to B2G Now, which help us do the calculations for the DBE and the veteran current participation. We review, contract compliance review, the pay estimates and invoices in order for any pay estimate on the construction area and invoice on the professional services area. The contract compliance team reviews the invoice to make sure the contractor is meeting the DBE and the veteran participation goals. We perform site visits to construction projects to make sure commercially useful functions are being performed by the subcontractors and to verify that all the employees are getting paid according with the Prevailing Wage Act.
Ms. Perez, do you have many more slides? Because I got to get to Terry and we have some questions.
Okay, this is the last slide that I have.
Okay.
We perform vendor trainings on compliance systems and requirements. We review change orders, extra work orders, and supplemental review. And we review the waivers of lien for each pay estimate for the construction contracts. And now I'm going to pass to Terry Miller, Chief of Diversity.
Thank you very much, Grace. As everybody knows, I'm Terry Miller. I'm Chief of Diversity and Strategic Development at the Tollway, and I have 6 very brief slides that I'll go through very quickly for you. We'll talk about an overview of inclusion and the purpose of inclusion. The Tollway's Diversity Department is a driving force for increasing economic opportunities in the diverse communities served by the Tollway. Inclusion, the meaningful participation by diverse women and veteran-owned firms, is key to growing the next generation of companies that will maintain and rebuild our roads and infrastructure well into the future. The Tollway's diversity program and initiatives are designed with 3 goals in mind. Make those very briefly for you. Provide greater access to firms interested and capable of performing work on tollway contracts. The next goal is to increase meaningful capacity building opportunities for companies and job and career opportunities for historically disadvantaged people. And third, to provide learning opportunities to emerging firms so they are armed with the tools and knowledge necessary to compete as primes or tier 1 subs on tollway contracts. Next slide, please. Now, the tollway is focused on providing additional exclusive prime and subcontracting opportunities for registered small businesses. And that's why it's important to register. Through small business initiative, through the Tollway's Small Business Initiative Program, the Tollway will advertise contracts ranging from just $1 million to $5 million in specialties that are prevalent for regional small businesses. The most important thing to know is if your business meets the requirements, go get registered. You can't qualify for the opportunities if you're not registered. Next slide, please. The Tollway is also committed to providing customized training and development for emerging businesses ready to get to the next level. The Tollway's technical assistance program is vital, and it provides and assists hundreds of small businesses with strategies to improve business operations, to gain access to capital, to obtain additional certification and better estimate and manage projects. In addition, the Tollway has encouraged established prime contractors and consultants to partner with smaller firms, providing that peer-to-peer mentoring and business coaching to help with the development and growth. And as a result, 25 small contractors and consultants have gone on to win prime contract opportunities at the Tollway. Next slide, please. The Tollway is equally committed to increasing access to economic opportunities for historically underrepresented, not just firms, but men and women in the heavy highway construction industry. And the first step is to provide the foundational training and support to get people into the industry. The Construction Works program connects qualified individuals to a network of training programs, preparing them for apprenticeship and training program opportunities in construction. Construction Works also provides support services that remove barriers to complete training and apprenticeship programs, things like paying for transportation and child support. Not child support, child care, equipment and supplies needed to do the job itself. A bonus contractors, it also provides a bonus for contractors that hire participants. They can earn incentives such as virtual bid credits for use in future tollway bids or cash wage reimbursements when participants are actually hired on tollway contracts. Next and final slide. Finally, the Tollway's Earn Credit program encourages construction contractors to hire and retain experienced, low-income eligible workers for construction industry careers. With Construction Works, contractors earn incentives and encourage long-term retention of these workers. Now, most important thing of these presentations that you get to ask us questions. So at this point, I'd like to end our portion of the presentation and open the door to any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. And we're going to go to our first question, and it's actually for Christy. Christy, they say specific to construction, are there any major construction project types that would be procured solely through the IPG or bid buy that are not already covered in Capital Development Board?
No, there would not be. Capital Development Board is the construction arm of the state. They actually solicit their own projects, and that is where you would house. Now, I do know there are some construction projects that happen, I believe, within Tollway relating to their projects, and then IDOT also has some construction-related projects, but those are housed within the individual agencies, and for the most part, you need to be working with the Capital Development Board and paying attention to their solicitations, because that is where the construction projects live, essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure who from which group will be answering this, but I'm going to put it out to all of the panelists. And it says, after completing a project and invoicing, how long does it take for payment?
Right now, the standard contract language is net 90. Agencies are going to pay based on their fiscal responsibilities and their fiscal staff. Sorry.
It's okay.
So each individual agency is going to have a different pay schedule that they utilize in-house in their fiscal departments. But the standard contract language for agencies under the governor and under the CPO jurisdiction is net 90.
Okay. And anyone else from the tollway want to, is that the same for you as well?
No, I think ours is faster. Brenda, would you like to take that?
No, ours is faster, but it's not, theirs is something that once the contract is obligated, then its payment is issued. The Department of Engineering is pretty much who follows that, but it's not, it's faster than what any other agency, because since we're internally.
All right, thank you. And let me just say, if there's anyone else that wants to ask a question, feel free to put it in the Q&A, and we will get your question from the Q&A area. So you can do that now. We have a person on the line that is a consultant, and he wants to know, do contracts have to have the documentation of contract quantities certification to bid contracts? That's for the tollway contracts?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Do contracts have to have the documentation to contract quantities? I guess contract quantities certification to bid contracts.
I'm going to talk on the DBE standpoint for construction contracts. If they are utilizing or proposing a DBE or BOSB company on the 2026 form, they should list the contract amount for that specific company, and on the 2025, that a contract amount should match with the 2026. That's for the DBE and BOSB participation. And Brenda?
Yeah, for our side, for any construction project that I believe I covered that, for any, when you submit your blank pay items, this where you have to disclose the quantity and the full price for the specific item. Other than that, I mean, if it does also has to include the core amount of the item, but other than that, that's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. And I'm going once, I am going twice. If there are any more questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A so that we can ask that question. And for those of you that asked the question about the slides, the decks, and whether you'll be able to see this presentation again, the answer to that question is yes. You will be able to see the presentation if you would just give us to tomorrow so that we can get it up on the website. But you can go to www.chicago.gov/vendor fair and look for the red update, and then click on this title of this workshop, and then the slides and the recording will be there. Hold on, give me just one more second, and let's see if we have any additional.
I just wanted to make a little note, and I put it in the chat section. When I was speaking, I offered any help I can. I put my email address in the chat section. So as a vendor, if you have a question, you're lost, you don't know where to go, please shoot me an email, and I am usually more than happy to help as I can, or at least point you in the right direction of who you need to speak with. So I think sometimes vendors can get lost and they get shuffled around, and they have a hard time getting to someone that can actually answer their questions. That's what we're here for. We are public servants. It's our job to help. So please, if you have a question as a vendor, feel free to put it in my email and I can help it. What I cannot answer is questions specific to solicitations that are on the street or going to be on the street. So that's not something we can entertain as procurement professionals. But if you're looking for advice or help on to getting registered, where we need to go, anything like that, please feel free to reach out.
All right, great. I'm glad that you were able to get that information. You must have read my mind, because I was going around and I was going to let everybody say parting words. So I'm going to go on to Brenda. Brenda, is there any reminder, tip, or anything you want to end with? Because we're going to wrap up this session. So you can unmic yourself and go ahead and say a couple of words. Thank you.
Just submit your submittals on time. Make sure that you pay a close attention to the solicitation, to the items that they're required. I mean, I can't stress that more. And that will minimize any of the questions that you may have. But of course, all of us, we're always accessible to any of you if you should have any questions.
All righty. And there was a question, who do I contact about BEP certification?
So I would suggest working first through the website, which is BEP Diversity Compliance. If you just Google State of Illinois Diversity Compliance, Central Management Services, you'll be able to find it. It'll lead you to the website. There's always a contact us. If you get lost, if you cannot find what you need, again, shoot me an email and I will get you to the person. Boss, my Bureau of Strategic Sourcing and Business and Enterprise Program work hand in hand every day. We talk every day. So if you are, if you're struggling with getting in contact with someone or you need some answers, work on the website first, BEP Diversity Compliance. If you can't, contact me and I will get you in the right direction.
And there's a question, I'm not sure, I'm going to put it out to the field. Have there been contract strategic planning, training, and development for professional service contracts?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
They're just wanting to know, is there any strategic planning or training and development for professional service contracts? Have there been any contracts for that?
So Terry, I can just point to the CMS, Central Management Services, and BOSS. We have a quarterly buying plan that we ask all of the agencies to reply to, and we post on our Illinois.gov website, our CMS website. So while I can't speak to any specific procurements, I don't know if Tollway can. Monitor the bulletin, bid buy, and two, look at the website, and the buying plan goes out 3 quarters in advance. So if there is a solicitation that is coming up and the agency has provided that information to us, it will be in that buying plan. So that is basically a forecasting of what we anticipate in the preceding 3 quarters of whatever point in time we're at. I also know that the buying plan is shared with the city of Chicago in their annual report and buying plan. So if you are based in Chicago and you're working, our information is also with the City of Chicago buying plan. So that would be where I would point you.
If I can add to that, the only thing I would say is make sure you keep a lookout for our look aheads. And in a shameless plug, we have a series every Monday, a web series that helps you with building for success. So I would keep my eyes out for those things and make sure that you understand that we're all here to help you out. So if you have questions, don't hesitate. We can offer technical assistance. We can help with P4G, and we're here basically to make sure that there's a smooth transition from someone who wants a contract to someone who successfully executed a contract.
Yes, also pay close attention to the bid letting schedule. This is what delineates any other tollway construction projects that they're forthcoming. And that's generally for at least about almost a year projects. And like I said before, every single week, every Friday is updated. I would say if you see a project, it may change down the line. We tend to move projects along, and many times those dates tends to change. So please pay close attention to that. As well as we do have a plan as well, and that information is also with the City of Chicago. Most of our projects are with the City of Chicago and in our website as well.
Question: are there any marketing / graphic design opportunities with either the tollway or with CM? That you can perhaps talk about. This person is a newly BEP WBE certified and working on WBE with the Women's Business Development Center, and they're trying to find out how they feel it's a little daunting registering with each agency, but they're trying to find out where their niche is. And again, as I believe this person may have been on a couple of our other panels, the best place to find out about a lot of opportunities and the type of opportunities, professional services or whatever, would be in the buying plan, and then you go from the buying plan to the specific agency that might have opportunities that hit your fancy. But Tollway or CMS, you can chime in and say whatever you think will direct this person in the right area.
I think you hit the nail on the head. The buying plan is, again, that's our forecasting, and it's a statewide forecasting. So you don't have to go into each individual agency to try and find the information. The buying plan is a forecasting of everything that the state intends to solicit in the coming months. Also, getting registered within BidBuy, making sure you're selecting those appropriate NIGP codes. That is going to let you notice any single time something within those NIGP codes is put out for publication on BidBuy. That is, to me, probably your most in-depth place to find solicitations that you can respond to, is making sure that you're appropriately registered within BidBuy. And again, outside of having a niche, if you're just doing construction or something like that, making sure that you're looking at that buying plan and BidBuy is what I would suggest. Tollway.
And you can actually find the buy-in plan on the Department of Procurement's website at www.chicago.gov/Chicago DPS, and then just click on the icon that says buy-in plan. And I would just say download that. You can print it out or peruse it, and that is your research. You take time to go through page by page to see what the various agencies have and what they're, it's a 15-month forecast. We put them out 4 times a year. So that should give you some process of planning for opportunities, or know kind of what type of opportunities come up where. Tollway, anybody from Tollway want to chime in, or would we say enough?
For the tollway, would be the same thing, the buying plan. That is something that you can look, and then how you are registered with BidBuy. If you're not registered on the right code, then, whenever there's work that is posted there and then you're not selected, you're not registered under the specific code, then you will not get notified. But that is key for you to get notified whenever there's jobs that, at the specifically, there's services that you can render to the tollway.
All right. Well, I want to thank my panel for coming on. The speaker from the Illinois CMS and Illinois Tollway. And we definitely appreciate all of the participants for spending a little time with us. I think they have given you a wealth of information. Just research. If you want to go back and look at this recording, you can. It will be found on our vendor fair, the Department of Procurement's website, on our vendor fair page. And you can click on this title and see this recording again, along with the PowerPoints, and go through it. But I would just say, do your homework, do your research, and the opportunities are there. And then, if you need to reach out, they said that they would be available to help. So reach out to them. Thank you all. I say to you, stay well, stay safe, wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, and hopefully next year we can have this not virtually, we can have this live and in person. But I like this virtual thing. So if we have some virtual or some live, but we will be able to see each of you perhaps at City Hall or at an event next year. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you all to the panelists. Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you. Bye.